Hello and welcome to part 9 of the ongoing AS and A-Level Java series. And in this episode, we're going to be looking at the math class. So I already have the code written for this particular tutorial because I think I had recorded it, but I must have lost the recording. So in order for me not to type everything through again, I'm just going to go through the lines of code that I have going on here, explaining every single line of code. Alright, so the math class is contained in the java.lang package. So this means that you do not need to have an exclusive import statement right up in your class declaration, right before your class declaration, right? Basically, it means that by default, the moment you start writing your Java code, the math class is already available for you to use in your code. So here I declared actually five numbers, 3 of type int, then 3 of type double, then 2 of type int. So I'm just demonstrating a few methods that you can find within the math class, but this class is quite loaded with a lot of mathematical functions. Like for instance, you can have trigonometry, you can have complex numbers, you can have pretty much any mathematical function that you think you would need. You always want to first check in the math class, because I guarantee you that there's a good chance, 90% chance, that it's almost always going to be in there. But in this particular tutorial, you're just going to look at a few that you might actually need in order for you to use in your programs. So the first one that we are looking at is the power or the exponentiation, right? And the way you call or you invoke this method is to say math, which is the name of the class, then you use the dot selector, and then you select the power method. So there's a couple of methods in there. There's one that takes a double, there's one that takes an integer. So depending on your on your use case, right, the Java compiler is going to call the appropriate method that uses the arguments that match your particular argument. So in this particular case, I'm using num1 and num2, which are of type double. So pow, in this case, you realize that if I hover over the method there, you see that it's declared as a double, right, inside of the java.lang.math, then .pow, then it takes two double arguments, right? So that's how that works. Then we also have the absolute function. So this one, it only takes one parameter, right? So basically what this does is that if you say absolute, it's going to give you the absolute value for that particular number. So like for instance, in this case, we have negative 5.6. So if I say absolute num3, you realize that I should get 5.6. Is it? So an absolute value is basically a non-positive value for any number, right? So if you were to supply a positive number already, you would simply get that same value, because an absolute value for a positive number, it's just that number itself. But for an absolute value for a negative number, it's going to be the positive number without it's going to just ignore the negative sign, as it were. Then we also have the minimum function. Again, like the pow function, it does take two parameters. So the first parameter is going to compare basically the two numbers that you have, whether A and B are different, or if they are different, which one is the least value between the two. Then also max, pretty much it works it works much in the same way as the min, but the only difference is that it's going to look for the biggest number between the two, and it's going to return that value. Then also we have round. Round, basically it just rounds a number to the nearest whole number. Then you can also call a method within another method. Like if you look in this case on line 25, I'm calling the math.round method within the math.absolute. Is it? So you can that's something that you can also do, right? So maybe let me just go ahead and run the code, and you see the different outputs. Then we can just go through. So in the first instance, when we have the pow, right, we are taking num1, which is 8, num2, which is 2. So the first parameter is going to be the value that you want to raise to the second parameter. So in this case, we are raising a to the power of 2. That's where we get 64. Then we have the absolute, right? So remember, I said that it's going to give you a positive value for whatever number that you are going to give us. It's going to give us a positive value. So in this case, num3 is a negative 5.6, but down here in the console we have 5.6, which is just a positive value. So that's how the absolute function works. Then we have mean, a and b. If you come here and you look at a and b, you realize that a is 45 and b is 13. So basically it's returning 13, right, which is the minimum value between the two, that is between a and b. Then we have the max, again 45 and 13. It's going to print 45 because 45 is bigger than 13. Then we also have math.round. So in this case, we are using num3. We are passing num3 as an argument to the round function. So it's going to round 5.6 to the nearest whole number. In this case, it's a negative whole number, of course. So that's why we are getting negative 6. So that's how the round function works. Then also we are making use of the round function, but we are calling it within the absolute function. So you realize that if we just run round, right, it's going to give us negative 6. But then we are now finding the absolute value of negative 6. So the absolute value of negative 6 is 6. So that's just about it for this tutorial. Again, this was just to give you an appreciation of the different methods that are available for you to use in the math class. But remember that the math class is quite loaded. There's there are tons and tons of functions that you can make use of in the math class. So I think that's just about it for this tutorial. I'll see you in the next one.